you had a tragic moment that happened with your mom being shot.
Yeah.
And listening to how you've been speaking about her, I mean, she is such a pivotal role in your life. What happened? And how did you find out?
It's so funny that, the gentleman was talking about gun violence. So
Yes.
we think it's a foreign thing because, I mean, in America it's rife at the moment, but we've had this problem for years. It was AFCON, and Bafana Bafana had won. So, we're spinning cars in like the township center and everybody's celebrating and spirits were so high. I was a child. I can't remember. I've blocked most of it out. I don't know if it's 96 or 98. The sports fanatics will correct me. But anyway, we're in the center of this street and people are spinning cars. The atmosphere, it was lit, right? But for some reason, and it felt like a movie, every time I relive it, because I can't remember certain parts, like there's no part of me that can recall, but I do remember hearing the gunshot. I remember people running. We were all running in different directions because also we did not know where the gunshot came from. So everybody's running in different directions. And I remember turning around and seeing her fall backwards and somebody catching her. So I thought maybe somebody had stepped on her foot or something, only to get home, run home and find out, no, she's been shot.
Oh, like she actually traveled home.
No. So if the street corner is maybe like, it was maybe like 3 blocks down, right? So we had run to that street corner, that main area, to go celebrate. So when the gunshot happened, everybody's scouring to find,
Yes.
for lack of a better way to put it. So I ran back home because I heard a gunshot. My mom was across the street. So when I saw her fall backwards, I thought, maybe somebody had knocked her over and she tripped or whatever, but she'll be okay. She's an adult. I must save myself.
Yes.
You're
a child.
I was a child.
Yes.
I was a child.
702.
The upside of failure.
Sometimes failure is the foundation of greatest success stories.
The upside of failure. Time award-winning, multidisciplinary performing artist joins us in studio. Sihle Ndaba. Your calls on 011 8830702 and the WhatsApp line 0727021 My darling.
My sissy.
How are you?
I'm happy now that I'm seeing you.
How long has it been? I've actually lost track.
It's probably been 6 years.
That long?
Yeah. Because I remember I just moved back from KZN, actually, when I saw you. Yeah. It's been
Where did
6,
we
7
see
years.
each other?
It was Red Pepper, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a casting. You didn't hire me, sis, but it's fine. I still love you. You see the upside of failure. Now I'm on 702. It's fine.
I'm sitting and I'm like, what were we casting for? And you're like, no, you were casting.
You were casting, ma'am. I remember. But no, it was good. It was good.
Listen, I wanted you to just have a thicker skin, toughen up in this industry.
No, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. Honestly, when I watched the show, I was like, yeah, no, this was not for me. I am too...
Oh, I remember what it is.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, on that other platform.
Yes. Oh my God.
You see? So it worked out for my good.
I'm so glad you say that because I've started having moments where like I lose a gig, be it a project, and then when I see it, I'm like, oh no, they made the right choice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You get to that point eventually. I mean, it's been 14 years. It's been 14 years.
I even forgot about the singer you because when I first met you, you were just a singer.
Yeah.
Before you got into the acting thing.
Yeah.
And kind of what round did they kick you off? Idols.
Just before top 10. Kabang.
Babes.
Yeah, I was top 16.
Yo.
And then they were just like, enough, bye.
What was your exit song that your last song that you sang?
Oh my gosh. Worst decision I've ever made.
What?
So I decided to sing Firework, right? By Katy Perry.
Yo.
So the issue isn't necessarily the song, but I got sick the week before.
Oh man.
I got sick the week before, and obviously you need to belt. You need to be like full voice. Exactly. So now you are going to belt with laryngitis. Okay, ma'am. We'll see how that
Ish.
works for you. But it worked for me. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Idols did exactly what I needed it to do for me.
I love that there are so many people who didn't win but still continue to have phenomenal success. I mean, it's still an epic platform
100%.
everywhere. What is the biggest lesson you learned from that experience? Particularly because for those who don't know how competition reality shows work, you live and breathe the competition. Your life
100%.
stops.
Yeah.
And I have the utmost respect for people, whether it's a Miss South Africa or an Idols or a Big Brother, like respect. Because you can walk away with nothing but just lessons and experience.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all you need, honestly speaking. For me, I studied musical theater, so a lot of people don't know that. So I studied musical theater because I knew I had a little bit of insight, and I was like, I don't know, man, being papa as a young one.
Why?
Being papa because my mom, I negotiated with my mom to study drama.
Yes.
But then I was just like curious about the industry. So my mom would send me to like little workshops here and there because I come from Mpumalanga. So we don't have a lot of industry events.
And people think you're a KZN native, ne?
Well, they're not completely wrong.
Okay.
So dad is from KZN.
I see.
Mom is from Mpumalanga.
I see.
So in Kabayam is a big village.
yes.
But I was raised by Mpumalanga, and I think Mpumalanga did a great job. So kudos to both provinces.
Yes.
Yay.
So you musical theater.
Trained, yeah.
Yes.
So I studied musical theater because when I was doing all of these little competitions and workshops and whatnot, I got an inkling that if I'm just going to study drama and I'm just going to focus on one thing, I'm going to starve. And I was not wrong. I'm going to be honest.
But I'm laughing because you and I are both musical theater kids, and it has served us well because there are roles that need you to have singing skills or that need you to be able to put your tap shoes on and
tap.
yes.
Honey, like you can't miss that cue, right? So it worked out for my good. So even with Idols, what a lot of people don't know is when I entered Idols, I was struggling to get acting work. I'd just come back from Singapore from doing The Lion King, and I was.
How did I even forget about that? Were you part of the Lion King crew with Brian? Temba.
No,
you guys were different.
Different companies. So I think he was on West End at the time.
Yes.
He was on West End in London at the time. And I was doing the touring company in Singapore. And I came back, I remember it was 2012. We came back end of 2011. So 2012, I'm auditioning. I audition they want a chair. I am there. I will be the chair.
Right. They say they want an old man. You are there.
I am there. I'm like, that is why we have makeup artists, right?
And prosthetics.
And prosthetics, right? Oh, little did I know. I was shooketh. So one casting director said to me, you're great, but nobody knows you. And this business is about bottom line. Are you going to up ratings? Are you going to bring an audience? So I was like, okay, now what happens? Then I heard about the Idols auditions, and I was like, this wouldn't be a bad idea. You know, there's that hunch you get, and you're just like, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yes.
So I did it with God. I did it with fear. I did it with zero understanding or what it would do for me.
Yes.
And I was, for the first time in my life, I think I got a taste of what fame is in Theatre Week. I remember I was wearing a white dress, and Twitter was still new at the time, and I trended. But I don't know, a part of me trended because Sihle's legs trended. Sihle's legs trended. I was like, what is going on?
That your legs are trending.
What is that? Also, why do you care? At the time, I honestly had no idea what was going on, but it really helped because after that, when I'd walk into audition rooms, people would give me a little bit more attention. They'd actually listen now. So it didn't feel like it wasn't worthwhile. So I didn't win that competition, but I won in life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which would you say of the roles you got was the break internally for you? Not the breakthrough role, but the one that really made you feel like you were coming into yourself.
That's a very good question. That's why you have the slot. Geez, they've all had some level of impact, but I think one of jeez, that's such a good question. Okay, let's take Miss Manzi. Let's take Miss Manzi on Gomora. So she's a teacher, and with GBV being what it is in this country, right? Getting to tackle that subject matter and turning the tables around, because we only think, and I say we in inverted commas, people think that only women can get assaulted, but so can men. And when I delved into that story, I had a different perspective and perhaps even a better understanding of why there's such a huge rape culture in our society. Because a lot of these young men are being taken advantage of at such a young age, and then it's normalized. And it's because and luckily for me, when we had that storyline take off, it was during COVID, so I didn't get to interact with a lot of people in real life. But on social media, the things I was seeing were showing me two completely different worlds. There were people that hated me and hated the character and what she did and all of those things, which I stand with. And then there was the opposite end, where you're getting DMs of people's privates.
What did your character do so that
She was a school teacher and raped a student. So she groomed him.
Yes.
And then
the character was like, what, 15?
Sure, I can't remember the age difference, but it was well over 10 years. It was well over 10 years.
I mean, either way, the child was a child and a minor.
There was a position. Someone was in a position of power, and someone wasn't. Someone was coerced, and that's what a lot of, the debate comes in. I guess people are not understanding that. Minors can be taken advantage of and groomed into doing these things that they think is okay, but it's not okay.
And in the case, obviously, of pubescent boys who are now getting into their sexuality, there's a thing of, this idea that, you got an older woman, you dab and high five, where this poor child is being damaged and traumatized without even knowing it to be the case. 100%. We only see it and we is a very general statement, as inappropriate when the elder party is a male.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
And I'm glad though that the stories that we are experiencing on our screens are getting deeper and more intense. I know there was one recently on Scheme Sum around consent between a couple, and
so here's the thing. So Ustelo,
yes,
the one who's playing that role on Scheme Sum right now, is on the opposite end. So I worked with him on Gomora.
Oh wow! So he got to play. Yeah. Wow!
So it's a full circle moment for me, and I kudos to Scheme Sum for tackling these issues, right? And in a way, and also how they treat it for me is beautiful. Like it's beautiful storytelling. I also watch the show. No, I love it. Sometimes I don't understand the language.
They do the mandate really well, because we know Scheme Sum is outside of entertainment. They are for the youth, where they are trying to educate through storylines, which they do exceptionally well. And I'm glad that kind of conversation went around. And as sad as it is at the realization that, wow, there's so many people who are like young that you didn't think that way. But at the same time, I'm sometimes just happy that the conversations are happening either way.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that part of your work, that it gets people talking about things that might be horribly uncomfortable?
That is the biggest. I think that is the biggest goal for me. I love entertainment. It's beautiful, but I would love for my work to have impact beyond that. Let's teach. Let's educate. What is that quote? When you know better, you do better, right? So if I can get you into understanding a certain subject matter or interrogating it differently, then my job is done.
In terms of, you spoke about mom and that period when you were in musical theatre. What was it like being a kid who probably had an inkling that you had a gift, but not every child, there are many people who are like, oh, I just knew. What was it like for you? Because sometimes it can feel like torture internally, because the school systems, they're changing now, but also where we come from, academics are everything.
Yeah.
What was that journey like for you?
It was beautiful. Now that I'm in my mid-30s, I've got a different perspective of things. I was very blessed. Like, God was really having a good day when he gifted me with my mom's family.
Oh,
Yeah, my entire family sings, including my late grandfather. So singing was a communal thing in our family. Before a road trip, when we have guests over, we're praying, we're singing. That was my childhood. So when I took it up in school and I was doing the musical theater productions and I was in the school band, etc., it was normal. It was actually applauded in my household. The only hindrance that I had was not having the financial ability to, because I wanted to go to pro arte. That was the dream.
my parents shut that dream down so
Me
fast.
too.
Or NSA, right? They're
Yes.
like, nah.
Yeah. So my mom said to me, listen, we can't afford it right now, but you're doing really well in this
Yes.
space. Clearly you're talented and also you're willing to do the work. So how about when you are done with matric and you still want to pursue this, then we'll make it happen. And she did. So that's how I got to study musical theater.
What was your idea then at the time? If you knew you loved this thing, what was failure for you? Was it not being able to be a creative? Was it not being able to make money from it? Like, what did failure represent?
Jeez, I didn't even think of it that way. I think about failure more now as an adult than I did as a child. I was very delulu.
Really?
Yeah.
I miss being delulu.
Yeah, so I grew up watching like Sister and watching Family Matters,
Yes.
and so that was and Soul Buddies
Yes.
and what was that? There was I remember there was a one show. It had, I think, 4 leading black ladies. I can't remember.
Living Single.
There was that American one, and
Yes.
then there was a South African version of it.
Why can't I
I can't
remember?
remember.
Was
but
it on SABC 1?
It was definitely SABC 1. It
I
was.
can't remember, but I think I know which one you
I think
might be.
one of the leads was Sibulele. Sibulele.
I can't remember. You're not. So you were attracted to those all-female type of.
That and
Cast.
family-centered shows.
Yes.
So in my world, once you got in the room, so if you were prepared for the opportunity,
Yes.
and you got in the room, eventually someone would see you. Eventually you'd knock on the right door. Eventually, that was my mindset, and I think it has helped me a lot over the past 14 years, because if I looked at it any other way, I don't think I'd still be in this industry.
Oh, as in you would have felt crushed and would have left.
Yeah, like I mean, we're in the industry, so we have context, right? But there's so many things that are discouraging, because now we've got social media, so we have more information than we did back then. So I would get firsthand information from my co-stars. I'd get advice from my co-stars in terms of like negotiating contracts. Because another thing is, with the entertainment industry being so open-ended, for lack of a better word, right? There's very little. There's a lot of wiggle room and very little structure. So it's easy for someone to get exploited. It's easy for someone to get abused, misused. The list is endless, right? But I honestly have always been delulu, and I think I've attracted people that were willing to assist me and guide me, as opposed to just doing it on my own, because it's easy to be pessimistic. It's easy to be pessimistic. It's harder to always look at it as a glass half full. But
Yes.
but with the support from my family and the luck of working with certain people, meeting you along the way, Pearl Mudiadia is also another one that I just love. Like, I don't see her every year, but when I do see her, it always feels like a reunion, and it always feels like a community that does want you to win, because there's enough. There is enough. It's just how is hard to explain.
You're touching on on so many things that have nuances that you really have to be in the business
To understand. Yeah.
But I'm just thinking about the fact that while all of this is happening of the career stuff, you know, you're still a person. There are those bouts of possible mental health challenges,
Yeah.
quiet seasons.
Yeah.
How do you get through those? Because yes, there's the Dululu part, and then there's the moments where you're like, I really haven't gone to work in a while.
Yeah.
What's coming? Oh my gosh, am I okay?
Like I said, for me, my support structure has really been strong. And also not, I want to find the right words, but I don't value myself according to my career. I'm still an actor whether I'm on set or not. I'm still an
Yes.
actor whether I'm on stage or not. So that never defined me. So my mental health there is always taken care of. However, when you can't pay the bills and you know you've lapsed on a payment, it does get to you. You know what I mean? But my mom, man, once again, like my mom always reminds me, you can always come home. You can always come home. There'll always be a roof over your head. So then you go back to being grateful and practicing gratitude. And some way, somehow, it always works out.
It really does.
It really, really does. I think also it's the surrender for me is the biggest thing of I don't care what it looks like to Lebogile, as long as it is for the good of all to the harm of none. I don't owe you an explanation. Because if I'm going to get caught up in that monster, then we're talking a different story altogether.
I think one of the things I've loved about you is you have really remained grounded. And I think many people say it, but live it. Even with what you're saying, you are so attuned to the fact that and being an actress or doing the work is not your identity. It's not who you are. So because that one part of you maybe is not doing great, it doesn't mean all of it isn't doing great. And I'm one of the people who struggles a lot with that, where I get put in situations. Yeah, are you surprised?
I
Why
am.
are you surprised?
Because and that's the thing about our industry, right? Because we all have social media and we're all
Yes.
posting our highlights.
Yes.
And obviously when I come into the studio for an interview, I come prepared. I'm gonna
Yes.
bring my best foot forward. I'm here, you know what I mean? So we all come across confident. We all come across secure, like we've got it all figured out. But we're human. And for me, I am shocked, but I'm not shocked because I also understand that you're human first, which is one of the things that I don't like about this industry, to be honest, because the lines get blurred and there's a tendency to dehumanize people.
And I think, my nature has been, I was an overachiever child. I overcompensated because I wanted to impress and people please and get the attention of my parents. And then fast forward to being this continuously overachieving adult, the day that, certain things happened in my life that required me to shut everything down because I'm in hospital post-surgery. And then you're like, you're not working, your family's taken your laptop away, and then you have to ask yourself who you are outside of your work. And that was a very difficult period in my life, which funnily enough ended with my then boss from 702 coming to say, I want you to join the station. So God works in amazing ways. But to come back, that thing you've realized, I'm still working on it. It's an active thing to work on, and it gets harder when you become a mother because now you have to say, who am I outside of
these?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Outside of all of those things. 21 minutes to 3 o'clock, the upside of failure. We are with, I would say, what is a really beautiful spirit and humble soul. Sihle Ndaba, 011 8830702. The WhatsApp line 0727021702. And I don't say that lightly. I'm very into energies. And I think from the moment that I met you, we click. We click and we have good conversation every time. But I just love how your star has risen so high, but you are literally the same grounded person. What is it? And you're not allowed to say my mom this time. That has kept you so grounded through really some phenomenal successes that you have had in a very tough industry?
Sure. That's another very good question. Why do you ask such great questions? But to summarize it, I think Tamara said it so well. I can't remember. I think she's Housley now. Yeah, Tamara Housley.
Yes.
She says, I live my life, not my career. And for me, that's always been the thing. Like this for me is a career. Like I said, actually 2 days ago, I was at the shops and I was running errands and the guy was just like, why are you so calm? Like, why are you so chilled? And I'm just like, well, the truth of the matter is you get to knock off. I don't. So every single thing I do is under a microscope and it's exhausting. It's honestly exhausting. So I had to make peace with the fact that some people will get it, some people won't, but I'm going to live my life. I'm literally just going to live my life, not my career.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I mean, we were speaking of or earlier rather about how I struggle with certain things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
Do you think sometimes people always expect you to be this extroverted, ready to speak and hug? Because genuinely people think I'm ready to be laughing and
Yes.
every time.
100%.
Whereas I'm like walking around managing my anxiety and hating the fact that I have to be in the mall.
Yeah, literally, like everything takes longer. I remember after Uzalo because Idols gave me an idea of what fame feels
Yes,
like, and
yes.
and then Uzalo happened, and we TX'd like 5 million viewers, which is unheard of, and it's still raking in the numbers. Good for them. But one of the things that I remember I cried about, literally, I went into the producer's office and I was just like, everything takes longer. Everything takes longer, and you don't exist. Like Sihle doesn't exist, and it's so funny now looking back. I mean, it's 14 years later.
That long?
It's been 14 years. I mean, it's been 7 years since Uzalo.
Yes.
Right. So when I left, that was halfway through. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's been 14 years. But what was strange for me is how people treat you according to the character that's top of mind. So I can tell more or less if somebody has only watched Uzalo based off how they will treat me.
Yes.
And their expectation of me. And it's unfortunate because, you know, sometimes there is a little bit of friction there because Sihle has boundaries, and some people just don't understand your boundaries. Like, why do you have boundaries? I'm allowed to touch you however, wherever, and speak to you however, whenever. And it's just like, no, not really. If I have capacity, I'll be more than gracious and give you that. But I also have days when I'm just like, ma'am, I'm rushing to set because if I don't arrive on time, they are literally docking my entire salary. So I'm sorry, but
I
you
need
know.
to go.
So it's a very Mufasa says it so well. He says everything exists in a delicate balance. So I'm not putting myself on fire to keep other people warm, unfortunately.
Ooh, she dropped bars there. Not gonna put yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You had a tragic moment that happened with your mom being shot.
Yeah.
And listening to how you've been speaking about her, I mean, she is such a pivotal role in your life. What happened? And how did you find out?
It's so funny that, you know, the gentleman was talking about gun violence. So we think it's a foreign thing because, I mean, in America it's rife at the moment, but we've had this problem for years. It was AFCON and Bafana had won. So, you know, we're spinning cars in like the township center and everybody's celebrating and spirits were so high. I was a child. I can't remember. I've blocked most of it out. I don't know if it's 96 or 98. The sports fanatics will correct me. But anyway, we're in the center of this street and people are spinning cars. The atmosphere, it was lit, right? But for some reason, and it felt like a movie, every time I relive it, because I can't remember certain parts, like there's no part of me that can recall, but I do remember hearing the gunshot. I remember people running. We were all running in different directions because also we did not know where the gunshot came from. So everybody's running in different directions. And I remember turning around and seeing her fall backwards and somebody catching her. So I thought maybe somebody had stepped on her foot or something, only to get home, run home and find out, no, she's been shot.
Oh, like she actually traveled home.
No, so if the street corner is maybe like, it was maybe like 3 blocks down, right? So we had run to that street corner, that main area, to go celebrate. So when the gunshot happened, everybody's scouring to find,
Yes.
for lack of a better way to put it. So I ran back home because I heard a gunshot. My mom was across the street. So when I saw her fall backwards, I thought, you know, maybe somebody had knocked her over and she tripped or whatever, but she'll be okay. She's an adult. I must save myself.
Yes.
You know,
You're
that
a child.
I was a child. I was a
Yes.
child. But now when I get home, my aunt has also ran home. She's like, no, usibongile mam tubulile. So I'm like, huh? And I can't remember. To this day, I can only remember patches of that day, but I still can't piece it together. And I think that's what trauma does. But that really made me resilient because I've literally lived my entire life watching my mom fall, get up, fall, get up, fall, get up. Because she got shot on her leg. The doctor said she'd never walk again. My mom walks. My mom gyms. She was in the process of getting her degree at the time. She had to stop. Mind you, she's first generation to get a tertiary education. I'm second generation. She sat down, she did the physio, she got up, she went back to school in crutches, she got her degree. My mom is so resilient. At 50 years old, she got her master's. She is so passionate about anything that she does. And I think I honestly inherited that. I come from a lineage of smart workers, brilliant, like whatever we do, we will give it 100%. We don't know how to half-a anything. So, yeah, man, like my mom is a G. Books need to be written about that woman.
You speak so much about mom.
Yeah.
Have you ever spoken about dad or lack thereof a dad?
I get into trouble every time I talk about that because
we
because
like trouble.
Look, I think I spoke about him maybe once or twice. I don't really know him. We don't have a relationship. We've met a few times. It wasn't nice. It wasn't
Pleasant.
pleasant. Yeah, you see, your English is 7.
Please know sometimes the bundles run out and I want to use other vocabulary. But how have you remained, there's this concept that like, oh, if there wasn't a father in the house, it's a broken home. You don't, nothing you speak of sounds broken.
Yeah, and I think people are just projecting, hey? I think everything happens for you, not to you. I would be a different Sihle if I was raised by that man. But God saw that I needed to be raised by my grandfather, who is also another story that needs to be written about. My grandfather built a construction company without even a matric.
Wow.
Right? Because he was just that determined and he was brilliant at what he did, you know. I can only imagine what he would have done if he had the support that he needed and the resources that he needed. So I come from a long line of people who are just delulu and who just come into the room and say, even if I don't know what I'm doing, I will learn.
Yes.
And I will be great. I will be great. Either way, I will be great.
8 minutes to 3 o'clock, the upside of failure with Sihle Ndaba. 011 8830702, the WhatsApp line 0727021702. We've got your voice notes, your messages coming through. One says the drama series Ladies, you were trying to figure out society. Yes! Portia Gumete was in it. We could not remember society.
They ate.
Right?
Oh, they ate.
They really did. They really did. Another one says, my most memorable character that Sihle played was on The Herd. Please ask her if she was not intimidated by legends such as Selomake Kancube.
I've been blessed.
Yes.
Let me tell you, the legends I have worked with have been nothing but kind, gracious. Oh my gosh, I enjoyed working with Babuselo.
Yes.
I enjoyed it.
Because he's a thespian.
He is
thespian.
a thespian. So I watched him on The Lion King when they built that whole theater, Monte Casino for them.
Yes.
So I watched him in that. I've seen, oh guys. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I enjoyed working with Babuselo. Also another one that people don't know. He's funny. Fana Mukwena, guys.
Firstly, we're not going to touch on the fact that he just quit his job in Parliament, but do you think he's coming back? I love your face. Maybe he must come back.
Ngicela ukungayikhulumi leyo ne. But how I have experienced these men. Kudos to them, man. Kind, gentle also. Our space can be very toxic. It's easy to blur lines, and I've had bad experiences. I'm not gonna lie, but those two. And Babu John Kani, my first TV show, he was directing. He was also a producer, and he would watch my takes, and he'd be like, "No, we're gonna go for another one." And he'd come and he'd be like, "Come, watch yourself on the monitor. Okay, do you like what you see? Do you believe you?" And he'd give me like notes and directions.
They're teachers.
Guys,
Teachers.
I won't lie. Even if I quit today and I never ever act again, and I mean this, if I never ever act again in this country, I will leave with a full heart.
Another one says, I'm such a big fan of Sihle Ndaba. I love her work from several productions, but what stands out is her role on Scandal. It's a pity that she didn't stay long there. I appreciate her talent and her insights on the creative industry. It seems like it's not as rosy as it looks. What does she think about the lack of regulation and professionalism of the creative industry in the country, and the fact that actors don't get residual royalties? Temba from MP.
Ay, yabona basempumalanga ngibathandela lezi. Yabona abantu basempumalanga ngiyakuthanda Themba. uNkulunkulu
You're
akubusise.
serious about yourself.
Oh my goodness. Like, how do I feel? Boo, tomatoes. Boo that man, take them off the stage, switch off the mics, switch off the lights. Like, it is bad. It is dire. It is heartbreaking. I remember, and it's so funny that they enjoyed my performance on Scandal. I really struggled on that set. That's why I didn't stay.
Where your character was an addict.
Yeah, but it was also short-lived. That storyline. Yeah, it was so short-lived. Because for me, I believe in representation. So to be playing a role in the LGBTQ plus community was really a great experience, and a humbling one at that, because now you're looking at things from a different perspective. I know what it feels like to be a Black woman and walk on these streets and feel the way I feel. Now being a lesbian Black woman
is a different thing.
Ma'am, I had to go and do a lot of homework. And it's unfortunate that things ended the way they did, and it was so short-lived. I couldn't explore more. But to answer his question, I am heartbroken at the state at which the industry is at, because I had hopes. When I came into the industry, I had hopes that things would get better. I read Mama Vati, so I call her the Vatican. I read her book shortly after I left Scandal, and I remember being in tears and in like literally I was in fetus position for a good 2 days, wailing, because I couldn't believe that in 2020, I think it was 2022 or 2023 when I read the book, her story is my story, is your story, is the next person's story. And it doesn't only just happen to the women, it also happens to the men.
And I think we wouldn't have time to delve into all of that, but you literally can go online and check. Before we let you go, what have you learned about failure that you'd like to share with all the listeners?
There's no such thing as failure. It's all lessons, and it's all happening for you, not against you. If anything, I think you just it's a nudge from the universe or from God or whatever it is that you believe in to either steer forward, sometimes take a break, sometimes change direction, change course. Because I believe in energy. Whatever you put out, you're going to get it back. Sometimes it's out of your control. It has nothing to do with you. I mean, you know what I mean? But for me, every single time somebody has said, sizobona ukuthi uzophelelaphi, God just shows up. God will show up and show off with my life, with the desires of my heart. So for as long as you are doing things for the good of all to the harm of none, the universe will meet you where it needs to.
Sihle Ndaba, an absolute star and just a gem of a person. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
702.
The upside of failure.
Sometimes failure is the foundation of greatest success stories.